Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we're talking about the first two episodes of Season 1 of the Disney Plus Star Wars show, The Acolyte. The episode's entitled Lost, Found, and Revenge Justice. We open the series with the Star Wars text show mission statement. It reads, 100 years before the rise of the Empire, it is a time of peace. The Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic have prospered for centuries without war. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret. One of them, a lone assassin, risks discovery to seek revenge. Bam, bam, bam. I don't think we cut then to a cool spaceship shot, but whatever. All right. We do cut to said assassin, whom we later find out is May, walking up to a Jedi in a bar and challenging her to, quote, attack me with all your strength.
Sure.
I assume that's some kind of an important mantra for her. Maybe it's part of her training. I don't know. Anyway, she then fights and kills the Jedi, who I want to call Trinity, but is actually named Indara.
Right.
May wins the fight by distracting Indara with an attack on the bartender, exploiting the Jedi's need to defend the innocent, which we saw a version of that in the Kenobi show as well.
Sure.
In a bar, in fact. We end episode 2 with May and her smuggler sidekick, Kymar, I think that's how you pronounce his name, on the way to the planet Kofar to kill off the third Jedi on her list, a Wookiee named Kelnaka. We see Kelnaka living on his own in the hulking remains of a spaceship in the woods. All that said, Paul.
Yes?
What'd you think of episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte?
So, I liked them, although the first one more than the second one.
Okay.
But that may just be a part of Leslie Headland writing and directing the first one, and someone else writing the second one.
Okay.
I like them. I might give them 8 and 7 respectively.
Okay.
I certainly wish it was. I mean, there are things that I think could be better about them, but I think the dialogue's good enough, and I think that there's some challenges with these characters, the type of characters you have, but a number of performances I'm quite pleased with. So.
Very good. So what was it about episode 1 that you liked better than episode 2? Or where did episode 2 fall down? What defined the difference to you?
In episode 2, some of the dialogue there just didn't feel right to me. I particularly didn't like the episode, or the part where May goes back. Osha goes pretending to be May. That was kind of stupid to me.
Oh, right, when she does the, hi. And, they were trying to pretend that, Osha can't really be like May. She's whatever, out of her element in that situation. And they tried to play it maybe a little bit for laughs. And I would say this show is not really played for laughs for the most part. This is
No.
Yeah. All right. I'd probably go slightly lower than you, but I like the show generally. I do feel like there are some issues, however, with it. So maybe I'm more in in the 6 to 7 range, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Just to let the audience know, we've got twins, Osha and May. Osha was a Padawan to the Jedi Saul, who's one of the big protagonists of the show. But she left her training. We're not exactly sure why, but it appears to have something to do, apparently, with some internal conflict. Much like Anakin, she was allowed to train despite being considered too old to start by the Council.
Sure.
So, Qui-Gon spoke up for Anakin. In this case, Saul apparently spoke up for Osha. But it does sound, based on the fact that, Anakin turned into Darth Vader and Osha quit. Sounds like The Council knows what they're talking about. I don't know. When they're deciding who can graduate their program and not blow up planets, something they got a keen eye. May... the twin is presumed dead in a fire back on their home planet 16 years ago. Now she's back. Better than ever. And it's apparently something akin to a Sith apprentice. We're not sure if it's Sith per se, because canon-wise, the Sith haven't been around in like a millennium, but something Sith-ish. We see her master give this talk. Actually, the master gives a little bit of dialogue at the end of episode 1, and one of the things he says is, he goes, I assume it's a he, I don't know. It's a figure speaking with the kind of muffled speech, but if you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them. I kind of wanted May to kind of chime in there. Yeah, actually, no, I just killed one with a dagger. So I'm not sure. I think you need to modify your little mantra there, sir.
Yeah, well, that definitely seems like they're trying to build something up. Like in the second episode, Kamir was saying, the master will be pleased if you can do it.
Right.
You know,
Said he
like it
as
seems
well,
like
so.
something like something like it sounds like there's something that will come as a result of that or something. I don't know.
Well, there was also the extra part of that phrase that we heard of the master say, which was, it said that the acolyte, an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream. And then later on in episode 2, you're right, Kamir says like, oh, did you kill him with a weapon or something like that? So I take that to mean that in order to attain the title of acolyte in this organization, if you want to call it, you have to kill a Jedi without a weapon. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because so far she's used weapons to kill 2 of the 4 people on her list. So there were 4 Jedi who were on the planet, and so she's killed Indara, and she gave Torben, who's been
Poison.
Torturing himself. It's weird to be like, that guy, wow, he's an amazing Jedi, and we're really happy to have him. For the last decade, he's been comatose. Like they just clear out a room for him. But like, he's been there, I think they said for like a decade. I could be wrong, but I think it's been several years that he not move at all. Or is it like 6 hours a day? I think it's always. I think he's just got this force bubble around him in meditation.
Do you think he sleeps in a bubble?
I don't know. Anyway, it just felt like, in other words, she tried to attack him, and she's like, I can't get through the force thing.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
if she knew, oh, well, he only does that for an hour a day, she'd just come back when he's not. I think the idea is he's been like that for a long time, which then you're like, how useful a jet? Can we just push him in a corner? Can we like move him? He's taking up space. What the hell? Anyway, so he is in some kind of penitence for whatever happened. We can talk about maybe what we think might have happened back 16 years earlier. But she gives him a chance to atone by drinking this poison from the planet in front of her. So in other words, I'll forgive you if you kill yourself, kind of thing. And he accepts. I will say, that's Tommen, by the way, from Game of Thrones. That actor, which the makeup job, not great. I'll say that's maybe some of the worst makeup in the show.
Ah, interesting.
But it's funny that, Tommen also is suicidal, steps out of a window in Game of Thrones. So he's the suicidal guy. He's typecast. Tommen, we need a guy to commit suicide. Oh, I got the guy. I know the guy. Let me get him. So she's killed off 2 of the 4. The third is this Kelnaka, who she's on her way to. I've heard that episode 3 is more of a flashback type thing. So I'm going to guess that maybe, I'll just do this. It's pretty easy. It's not even a challenge. I'm matting Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But I would guess it's probably episode 4 or something like that. Maybe 5. I think she'll have to kill Kelnaka with a weapon of some sort, because I think that leaves Saul. And so that's really what this, at least, season is heading for. Is like, get rid of the other 3, blah, 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 blah. It's Saul and his responsibility and what happened 16 years ago and his relationship to Osha and May, in my opinion. We saw them, but they deliberately showed them squaring off. So May and Saul fight in episode 2. She seems to be doing her best to kill him. He's like, I'm not going to try to kill you. But he's way too powerful for her. And so it makes sense narratively if they fight again, and they almost certainly will, that she's going to employ a different strategy. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, Paul.
What?
I'm going to mat Saul.
Wow.
At the end of season 1.
Interesting.
I think this thing it supposedly has a 3-season arc, so I feel like they can end season 1 in a dark place before they try to head off somewhere else. But more to the point, I'm going to add this on. I'm adding this into the matting. I think it's going to come down to OSHA will be forced to choose in some way. I don't know how this works out, but I feel like in this, let's say, fight between May and Saul, she's going to have to choose loyalty in that moment between Saul and May. And because of what she learns about what the Jedi did to her family 16 years ago, I think her loyalty will be with May, which somehow results in Saul's death. I'm not saying she kills Saul, but like whatever. She chooses to save May at the expense of Saul, kind of thing. So that's where I think it's headed. There you go.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you think that she's justified, May is justified in her resentment of the...
I don't know if it's justified per se, but I think it's more... I'll put it... I don't think it's like the Jedi did everything right, and you can't even possibly perceive what they did on the planet as bad. I feel like there'll be from a certain point of view, what they did. Like, okay, we might as well talk about it. What do you think occurred on that planet 16 years earlier?
I don't have a theory. You know, the fact that he feels really guilty about it, and Saul doesn't look like he's especially proud either.
Right.
Yeah, and when May faces off with that first Jedi...
In Dara, Trinity.
In Dara, yeah. She said, it's like, oh, we don't attack innocents, and she's like, oh, yes, you do. It's interesting, I guess, that OSHA doesn't understand or, is so mad at her that she's willing to shoot at her. She believes that she's responsible for her parents' death. So,
well, notably, though, she doesn't actually hit her. So I think she's
true.
I should shoot at her, but I don't want to hit her, and so...
Right.
I feel like that's the real mystery of the show. We don't have the mystery of who's doing the killing, right? It's like, it's May. Okay, got it. So
it's the mystery of who this person is who trained.
That's true.
May.
There's a mystery of that, but it's kind of a why. The why? Why is she doing it?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it comes back to this: what happened in her childhood. And now the opening title mentions a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that might suggest that the Jedi disapprove of unauthorized use of the Force. So perhaps, here's your theory. Maybe these 4 Jedi are sent to May and Osha's planet to investigate unauthorized Force users, basically. Maybe also recruit some of the kids as Padawans. And then somehow a fight breaks out between the Jedi and the locals. A bunch of people die. And I don't think it's a situation where the Jedi are just like, kill them all! God, it's not that. But it's a thing where they didn't intend for people to die, but people died. And there's probably a sense of guilt about, if we'd have done it this way, there wouldn't have been a big fire, and we wouldn't, people wouldn't have died. But that's... So, from the locals' point of view, it would be, these Jedi showed up, they made unreasonable demands, we tried to defend ourselves, and then next thing you know, people are dying.
I guess if it was unjustified, her anger and all that, then, just be like, oh, when am I going to kill this crazy person? It's like, what's the point? I guess it has to be a valid thing that makes me want to get revenge.
It could be that she's been lied to as well, right? Who knows all that?
Yeah, but then what? Then she just becomes a Jedi Knight. Yeah. Because sorry, I was killing all these people.
Exactly.
Can I take her place? I just killed her. So no one's using this lightsaber. So
Well, we've seen it is fairly easy to redeem yourself in Star Wars in terms of you could do some terrible things.
That's true.
As long as you do one kind of good act, you're back in the fold. But so I was a little surprised that May thought Osha was dead. Because partially I thought she was trying to disguise herself as Osha. They look very much alike. Obviously they're twins, but their hairstyle.
Obviously the same actress, but yes.
But 16 years where they didn't know the other, they weren't in each other's presence, and yet they look very much alike. just the idea that I thought maybe it was because, I'm trying to pin this. I'm trying to frame my sister. But that was not the case. She was like, what? Maisel, you lie. OSHA's dead.
Well, and part of it is, she runs around with a mask, which, I guess is just helping out the stunt double. But
good point. Okay, here's another. This is not an actual theory, but I'm throwing out a ha-ha theory. Reason that OSHA's named OSHA, of course, that's occupational safety and health. Maybe there was an OSHA violation back on the planet. They didn't have handrails on the gangway, and they fell off and fell to their deaths. So,
it's like,
yes,
all those Jedi Knights were the people who designed it, and they were like, doesn't it look cooler without guardrails?
The guardrails really get in the way of the aesthetic, so let's just get rid. No, wait! OSHA.
It's like, especially if you put like banana peels on the,
right.
Then.
Or if you angle it so it's like a slide, I think that's better too.
Yeah.
We have talked about this with other Star Wars shows. I know this came up. I've forgotten which one we were talking about, but it's this weird incongruity of technological prowess.
Sure.
Right? So they have like faster than light speed travel?
Yep.
Check. Planet destroying beam weapons? Check.
Yep.
Basic communicator and video technology? It's like here it's this lack of forensics. So May, arrives on a spaceship, I assume, to a bar, kills a Jedi, broad daylight. Yep. No attempt to cover her tracks.
Yep.
Spends several minutes in the bar. But like the only way they can identify her is with an eyewitness, this bartender, whom they then have to personally fly out into space in order to view OSHA, as it turned out, the wrong person. Like, there's no surveillance cameras, there's no DNA, there's no GPS, there's no way for the bartender just to verify her face on a screen. I mean, it was just like, it's a little weird. It's like it's weird juxtaposition of like, they could easily do that. They can't. Okay, they can't do that.
Yeah.
They're like 1800s policemen. Like, we just use our guile. Like, you have all the tech in the world. You can't tell who's who in this kind of an environment, but they can't. So, all right, so be it. It is what it is. That's
yes.
The incongruity is part of the story in some ways. This is a world where some things are way ahead of us and some things are way behind.
Yeah, well, I mean, their hands are tied in a way because they got to make it less advanced than, all the other Star Wars movies we've seen. So, they didn't do any of that forensic stuff in any of those either.
Yeah.
So,
I do like the Force Fu, if you want to call it that, is a fun touch. The martial arts. I call it. I think I've seen it referred to as Force Fu.
Oh, so people using their force to push people away.
Well, right, like in a martial arts, setting kind of thing.
Sure.
It's a Matrix type funny, but they're using the force with it.
I mean, it's funny. After this, I went back and watched Rogue One, and that one character who was blind.
Sure.
He was using a lot of martial arts more than we've typically seen. Which
great point. He used his staff, for instance.
Yeah, and there was a lot of hand to hand in what he was doing too. So, and that's all good. Yeah, I think that it's a better thing than just lightsabers.
Right, and I do like the idea, and I think it was actually pretty clearly demonstrated in the couple of fights we had, that they're basically implying that the Jedi prefer to use non-lethal martial arts until it becomes necessary to employ lethal force.
Right. Sure,
then it's like, all right, fine, you made me use a lightsaber. That's what. And Dara doesn't use a lightsaber for a long time, and then finally she realizes, this person's really trying to kill me. All right, fine, lightsaber.
Then May mentions, look at that, you shouldn't be pulling that unless you're willing to kill somebody, and so she's like, no, sorry, that was my itchy trigger finger did that.
That's right. You talked me out of it. Right. So I like that. I like that.
I liked Manny Jacinto. His very different than his role on The Good Place, and so it's really nice to see Khmer or whatever. Very good role there. One of the things that I thought was interesting that because the creator of the series, Leslie Headland, who had also done Russian Doll, that a number of those actors, actually that's who Yord is. He was the co-lead in that, and the Venestra Rowe is also in that, and that just happens to be Leslie Headland's wife. So so it's like sort of that's the key or the clue. Like, okay, this is really the brainchild of Leslie Headland.
We do get this interesting. I feel like it's important, but I'm not sure exactly how. When Osha has this vision, and she's talking to like they're little kids, kid May and little kid Osha, and they have this little rhyming couplet thing that they say to each other.
Yes.
And at the end of it is like, I give you you, and you give me
me. Yeah.
That feels instructive somehow. Like that.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Interesting.
But I feel like that there's a plot point to be had. Oh, and I'll mention this. Okay, I mentioned. Oh, they look exactly alike. Well, there's one way they're not exactly alike, and I feel like it's going to be a plot point. She got a tattoo.
Okay.
So I think that's where that's going to... At some point, to prove that she's actually Osha, she's going to be like, look, does May have this tattoo? No. I feel like that's...
Well, it's funny, though, that, all this, who we were really talking about stuff, seems to have been pushed off pretty easily, actually. Like, oh, she's been in our custody, and someone else just got killed by...
I know! No, that's a great point. That's one of the reasons I brought up the idea of, like, the real mystery is, like, why? Because you would think... It's set up as we've wrongfully accused Osha. And that you would think, like, if it is, for instance, people have compared it to The Fugitive, partially because of that one scene in front of the cave and everything. But in The Fugitive, it's like, I got to prove my innocence the whole time. Here, it's like, she's innocent. In fact, in that bit with Torben, so he drinks the poison, dies.
Right.
Then they create a whole scenario where Osha's standing over his dead body, and the guard comes in, lights his lightsaber, and then they immediately diffuse it with Yorb comes in. He's like, no, she didn't do it. Yeah, I was here the whole time. She's fine. And they're like, oh, okay. It was just a weird, like, you would expect at least keep that pretense.
Don't know, why they didn't have Yord go in with her,
Yeah, that's weird, too. I
just watched. He should have just, like, came up like, look, hey, I'm not going to let you alone. And then they both could have came in there, and then we could have avoided all the, what? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's almost like, it feels like a weird switcheroo that maybe at one point they intended to have it more of a I must defend my innocence, and at some point they decided, nah, that's not really the story we want to tell. I don't know, because it's like, why go through all of that rigmarole? Oh, you get on a prison ship, and you got to do the thing. Yeah. Anyway. So it would have, if Saul was the one person who believed her, and everyone else is like, no, okay, but no, it's not that at all. It's like, no, she's fine. Yeah, no, now, and they in fact see May now. They're like spying on her, so. Yeah. It's all out in the open. That's why I feel like there is another shoe to drop somehow with this, like, again, maybe with that, what makes you makes me. I don't know. Just some kind of weird connection, like a mental connection between the two. I don't know.
Not that tells them each other they're alive, but yeah, sure.
Right, exactly.
Saul was like, no, she's not dead. I can feel it. But May, no, they're dead. What are you talking about? No,
they're dead.
Like, what? They're alive? What?
No, she's right over there, in fact, if you just turn your head. No time. People have mentioned, and it's rightfully so, I see online, there's like the little meme of like, fire in space. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
That was a little lazy on their parts.
But
whatever. I'm fine with it. But it's a little jarring to be like, come on now. Other part that was a little weird about the Indara fight. So the initial fight, very interesting and engaging.
Sure.
And actually, I'll give them a lot of credit for. Let's start with killing a Jedi. Bang! Right out of the bat.
Yeah.
Great way to start a series. So well done. But it was so May shows up. She does her attack me with all of your strength.
Yes.
And everybody laughs.
Right.
And then she just starts beating up, like, one after another, these the bar patrons. Mm-hmm. Until finally Indara's like, fine, we'll fight. But it's like, why is Indara just sitting there? Well, she's like, oh, you're not going to fight me? What if I beat this guy up? No? What if I beat this guy up? No? It took like 4 people. And I'm like, okay, fine, we'll fight. Like, you could see where this was going. She was trying to get you to fight her. Maybe don't let everyone in the bar have to get, major health care or killed before you jump in. But anyway, I think it was like let's show how good May is at beating people up. So let's just let her beat people up.
Yeah, or maybe she's just like, if she's not good enough, one of these dudes takes her out and I don't do a damn thing.
Yeah, that's right. She's probably, oh wow, look at that. She beat Jerry over there. Huh. Wow. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let me shake this off. All right, here we go. But yeah, so it's it's a mystery type show, but again, the mystery is a little it's not what you thought the mystery might be. The mystery, you thought it might be a whodunit kind of thing, but it's more of a why done it.
Right.
And so I think I'm in. I like the character of Saul.
Yeah, it's maybe a benefit for me having my expectations low.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah. I certainly.
Yeah, I can't go with an 8 just yet on this. So I'm not going to be in that territory. But I think it has the potential. Well, let's see what happens. Okay. I do feel like the payoff of what happened 16 years ago will define a lot of whether this story works or not.
Sure.
If it's just whatever, as you say, if it's just like, oh no, the Jedi were perfectly legit and awesome, and it was complete. Yeah. The evil people were evil. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So we'll see. They have a chance. Let's see how it works. Thank you very much, everybody. We're also going to be covering the Lazarus Project season 2, and we're also going to be covering the House of the Dragon season 2. Lots happening here. In
definitely
June.
A lot. Yeah.
Yep. So come on back for everything. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.